Hello, hello. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. This is Karen Tripp, and I am the president of Cancer Companions, a ministry that specifically ends up focusing on drawing people that are coping with cancer closer to Christ. Before the ministry ended up starting, I ended up writing a book called God is Bigger Than Your Cancer. And so tonight, we're going to take a few minutes to be able to talk a little bit about the book, but mostly we are going to read out of the book. And I am so excited about the portion that we're reading tonight. Hello, Roxanne. Hello, Lisa. I'm excited about the folks that are joining. So right now, I want to tell you a little bit about how I put the book together. The book is put together into 4 chapters, but each chapter has 2 sections. And we're on chapter 1, and we're going to be reading the 2nd chapter, which Lisa Clayton is featured in. It's actually, the section is called Lisa's Story. And I am so excited. You can see her right there. She is a dear friend of mine. And so each one of these chapters has one section where I write a devotional addressing a question, and then the second one ends up having a story about a person, not just that gets through cancer, but a person who draws closer to Christ as they're going through their cancer. Part of what you'll hear is that it's written in first person. The reason is because what I did was I went out and interviewed these folks. So I showed up at Lisa's house. I had one of those great big, this is 2008, right? So I had one of those great big tape recorders and little cassettes that we put in there, and we recorded and recorded and recorded. And I took all of that material and condensed it down and put it in chronological order and put her story together for us. The exciting part, actually, is everything that happens after the ending of this story, is because Lisa is actually a 3-time cancer survivor today, which is wonderful. At the time that I ended up writing this chapter, this was about her very first interaction with cancer. And so I'm so pleased that all you guys are here. I'm excited to be able to share this with you and for you to be able to find out a little bit more about this story. I hope that it ends up touching you the way it did for me. As you hear it, if you'd like to put comments, whether you're doing that live or later, to Lisa, please do that so that she can check in here and find out more. The other thing that I wanted to mention is that if you have a chance right now while you're watching live to be able to push the share button, that would be great so that other people can end up getting a dose of what you're experiencing here tonight as well. So here we go. Chapter 1, Section 2. A meeting with Jesus, Lisa's story. I knew fear long before I knew cancer. Frightened is no way to live. It almost sounds cliche to say my husband Ken was wonderful, my daughter Rebecca was beautiful, and my home was lovely, but it's true. Yet for weeks at a time, I would struggle with the fear of catastrophe if I were alone. I'd become obsessed with what ifs. What if I have a heart attack in the grocery store? What if I die at the wheel of my car? Eventually, I was diagnosed with an anxiety disorder. For the least little thing, I would rush to the emergency room. Driving by myself or leaving the house alone was out of the question for fear that something terrible would happen. Then something terrible did happen. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. I kept getting colds that year, but it was a bug bite that wouldn't go away that got me to the doctor's office. When I mentioned the 6-week-old cough and the tightness in my chest, my doctor sent me for more tests. He found cancer. For years, I had worried that something like this might happen, yet I couldn't believe it when it did. Really, I was in denial. For days, I believed it was anything but cancer. I always felt very close to God as a child, but as an adult battling anxiety, I drifted away from him. I was not praying, and I began to wonder, are you there, God? I was so focused on a future catastrophe that might never happen that I lost sight of God. Despite my weakened faith, God began to lead me over every hurdle from the very beginning of my cancer. My first hurdle was my doctor's treatment plan for me. As a child, I never wanted to take any kind of medicine for fear that it would hurt me. Now they wanted me to have Chemotherapy? Just the idea of taking poison to kill part of my body freaked me out. But I was more frightened of the cancer than the treatment. So I began to pray, God, give my doctor the wisdom to cure me through you. So when the doctor said, do chemotherapy, I did chemotherapy. The good part of chemotherapy was that I never had to be alone. For each treatment, Ken sat beside my recliner as I sipped soda and chewed on ice for the nausea. Within a few short weeks, my pain and symptoms from the cancer had decreased. By week 6, I was already asking, are you sure I need to come back for more treatments? The answer was always an emphatic yes. But they said I might not have to undergo radiation. The thought of radiation renewed my longtime fear of a heart attack. My mother had a history of heart problems, so I worried excessively about my heart long before I was ever diagnosed with cancer. A mild case of heartburn led me to believe I was having a heart attack. That fear would trigger an anxiety attack with such chest pains I thought I would die. Now they wanted to shoot radiation next to my heart with minimal risk of heart damage. The radiation treatment, I was told, would be the icing on the cake, just what you need to go toward your cure. Again, I was more afraid not to do it than to do it. The worst outcome to me was to skip the radiation and return a year later to discover the cancer was still there because I had not had the treatment. So I decided to go forward with the radiation. When I went for my first treatment, they tattooed me with dots so they could make sure they hit the right spot. Then they took me into a sealed room and had me lie underneath a huge machine that looked like a space capsule. It took an hour for 8 guys and a nurse to prep me for the procedure. They'd slide me back and forth and mark me up with a Sharpie pen to make sure that I was in the right position so the radiation would not damage my heart. As I lay there, I felt really scared of how much the pain the radiation would cause. And then I started to worry about my heart getting damaged. The nurse could tell I was getting more and more scared, so she began to chat to make me feel better. Do you have any kids? She asked. The thought of my child started me crying, and I couldn't stop. My mind kept racing. What am I doing here? I could be at school helping out Rebecca's classroom instead of lying under this machine. Needless to say, I wasn't holding still anymore, so it was harder for them to prep me. Prayer was the only way I knew to calm down. Please, God, protect everything else and just get the bad stuff. Finally, I settled down enough to go on. They had me lying down with my hands clasped together over my head, and they said there would be 2 intervals of radiation. Then they all walked out, closing this giant bank vault type door behind them. I was alone. No Ken, no mom or dad, not even a nurse or a tech guy. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm in here all by myself. I'm freaking out, and my mind is racing, but I knew if I fell apart again, I'd only be in there longer. So again, I prayed, Jesus, you're the only one who can be in here with me. You're the only one who can be with me all the time. Please, Jesus, hold my hand. And from my clasped hands, I placed my right hand out just enough so someone could hold it. I closed my eyes, trying so hard to stay still. And then Jesus was there. I could feel Jesus holding my hand. My body began to relax and my mind calmed down. I felt this wonderful sense of total strength. Not just peace, but this empowering strength. Jesus filled my spirit, so there was no room for fear. Now I know that you cannot focus on your fear and on God at the same time. I made it through all my radiation treatments, holding my hand out so Jesus could hold on to me. I'm in remission now, And I wish I could say my anxiety is miraculously healed, but it's not. The difference now is I've learned ways to cope. When I start to think, what if? I immediately think, no, no, no. I'm going out there and I'm going to have fun. I went through 6 months of treatments where I missed spending a lot of time with my daughter and doing things other people do daily. I'm not staying home anymore. It's strange that God could use something as frightening as cancer to teach me how to cope with my fears. My faith has grown and I feel the same closeness with Jesus I felt as a child. I don't wonder where he is anymore. I know where he is. He's always with me. I know there are frightening places where no one else can go with me except Jesus. I found a verse that has been my rock to see me through. The Lord himself goes before you and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Deuteronomy 31:8. It's true. Jesus will also go with you, and he'll never leave you nor forsake you. So do not be afraid and do not be discouraged. You are not alone. And then we close the chapter out with this prayer. Sweet, precious Lord, I place myself fully in the shower of your abundant grace and ask for your forgiveness. I know that I do not deserve to be washed clean by the blood of your Son, Jesus Christ, but as I submit to your love, I am. Embrace me in your loving arms and keep me always at your side. Show me each and every step, not just through the struggles of cancer, but through all the trials and joys of my life. I give it all to you. Amen. Amen. Lisa has also ended up writing a wonderful description of not just her first account with cancer, but her other two as well. And we've put that out on our website. If you'd like to take a look at it on cancer, it's cancer-companions with an S.org. And then you would end up putting a slash and just write Lisa Story. Not Lisa's, because it wouldn't take that. So just her name, Lisa Story. I'm sure you can look for it in the search section or go to the blog and it'll be right there on top as well too. I'll put it in the comments section after we end up posting this for anyone who's watching this that's not live. But I will end up reading to you the first section here because I think you're going to like this. It says, I'm a 3-time cancer survivor. The big C word is scary, life-changing, and emotional. Not only for you, but also for your family and friends. They love you, so it's hard for them to see you going through trials physically and emotionally. Now, in 2019, we have amazing healthcare and years of research that is still current and will be going until cancer is cured. So if you do get a diagnosis, just remember, they cure many cancers now as well as put a lot in remission. So all in all, you gotta believe. Even in tragedies in life that may not be of health, just believe. So I thank you, Lisa. I see you saying thank you to me, but I tell you, you were the very first one I interviewed, and I knew from the beginning that you were going to be in this book. And your story just goes on, and I'm excited to share it tonight and share some more. So yes, we'll be doing these readings every Thursday evening. And so tonight was Lisa's story from Out of God is Bigger Than Your Cancer. And under it, it says Christian Insights for Cancer Patients. But it really is for all of us, isn't it? It's also specifically for cancer patients, survivors, caregivers, but all of us know somebody that we love who's coped with cancer. And so I hope that this has blessed you. I hope you come back next Thursday night, 6:30 Central, and I will be right here. Blessings to all of you. Take care. Thank you.